Hello. I realize that it has been a minute since I posted anything, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm both working and in school currently, so I'm kind of short for time. But even when I do have time, I don't necessarily have the drive or the energy to create videos, which I think is unfortunate because it is something I enjoy doing. I kind of just wanted to check in with you guys and say hi and I guess just chat and hang out. Today was the past couple of days, but today especially was a little challenging, a little difficult for numerous reasons that I'm not going to get into. We're not going to talk about those things right now. I guess what I wanted to do, I got my cards out. Druid Craft deck, for any of you that are wondering. And I feel like, taking some time to reflect on things with the aid of these cards might be fun, might help at least provide a little positive bump to the end of this day or the end of this past couple of days. So yeah, I hope you're all doing well, and I'm grateful for any time that you set aside to sit and watch this video and share space with me, even through the internet. Whatever, what a weird and wonderful world we live in, right? Anyway, I guess I'll just shuffle some cards and I'll pull some cards, and whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth, I guess, right? We'll just go with it. We're just going with it. We're just letting things happen. We're just letting life take advantage of us. I'm just kidding. That's a really toxic way to think about things. We're allowing life to change as it will do, with or without our direct interference, but in a way that allows us to roll with the changes with grace and acceptance and with clarity about why it is that we're experiencing what we're experiencing. So the first card that we pulled was the Empress, or in this case, the Lady, and she's in reverse. Immediately, the first thing that popped into my head looking at this is can't access the abundance. I was reading an article today about a particular author who was expanding on the concept of time in a very articulate and well thought out manner. I already forgot his name. I want to say it's Borges or Borges. I think it was spelled Borges. The particular book that I was reading about in this particular article was called Labyrinths by this author, Borges, or whatever it is. There was a quote from that book that really struck a chord with me. And of course, now that I've gone through all this effort to explain where this quote came from, I can't remember the quote. It was something along the lines of, if we had the ability to truly fall in love with life, we would see that every moment is simultaneously generous or abundant and I'm gonna have to look it up. Basically, the whole gist of the quote was that in every moment there's a simultaneous existence of both abundance and lack, of gain and loss. It's getting really dark. Oh my gosh. No, that's too bright. We're gonna accept this. And with this card, I can definitely see it with myself presently. I'm focusing more on the lack than I am on the abundance. And what happens when we do that is that life, meets us where we are, and we attract more experiences that confirm the way that we're feeling or confirm what we are fixated on. So in this case, I'm fixated on the lack. I'm fixated on the things that are going wrong, the things that are making me feel a certain way that I don't want to feel, and it's bringing, moment by moment, I'm having more experiences that are just confirming this and reaffirming it and making me think, oh yeah, definitely, this is, this is going wrong. So it's like, now what? Now what's going to go wrong next? I'm starting to get into that mentality. But luckily, when you do something like read your tarot cards or meditate or write in your journal or even paint or draw or dance or whatever the case may be, there's a moment of presence with yourself, and you can reflect on what has brought you to where you are in this moment, in the sense of why you're feeling a certain way or why certain thoughts are arising, and really coming to their source, which is also an interesting thing to talk about right now, because Mercury is, I think he's about to go retrograde in Scorpio, and Scorpio is all about the deep, most fundamental bits of a matter, whether it's a person, which, symbolically we see that as representing the sexual organs, Scorpio representing the sexual organs, but also representing those deep, almost unconscious aspects of our psyche, the why behind why we do things. And sometimes we don't even really know why we do things. We don't know our true intentions or our true motivations. And this Mercury retrograde in particular is like very much bringing our mercurial analytical focus into those otherwise unseen, hidden, tucked away, or again, unconscious things. So yeah, this video is kind of perfect for illustrating that energy, because it's like I'm calling attention to that mentality of focusing on lack, focusing on what's wrong rather than on what you can do to improve it, or what it is that is actually absolutely going right in this moment. That's one of the most fundamental perspective shifts that you can do that would totally overhaul everything in your life. I feel like we all have our moments where we embody the aspect of us that says, oh, life is beautiful, this terrible thing just happened, but look at us, we're all together right now, and look at this sunset, look at the sky, look at that beautiful tree over there, all these sorts of things. We have our moments where we slip into that state of acceptance and love and flow with the universe. But, we're embodied human beings. If we, were ascended spiritual masters, we probably wouldn't be here in the physical, or at the very least, we wouldn't be interacting with life. I'm going to leave it at that, because at a certain level, you're no longer interacting with life, you are life. And that's what a saint is. They're life personified, most fundamental and pure sense. And I might make a future video on that later, just so we can open up a dialogue talking about that, and seeing what each of us thinks, our different perspectives and everything. Anyway, I'm going on a lot of tangents tonight. So yeah, back with the lady in reverse. Interesting to me in this card in particular, this depiction, if you can see this water right here, in this particular instance, the water running upwards seems very poignant. I'm getting this sense of, again, going back to that Scorpionic energy and the Mercury going down, bringing our awareness to these otherwise, unconscious aspects or thoughts or memories or experiences, whatever. And that water coming up, as I was looking at it, I could feel tears welling up behind my eyes. This emotion just coming up and surfacing, and it's like, I'm not quite sure exactly where that's coming from. It could be from the pressure that I've, been put under, or have put myself under, really, the past couple of days. Or it could have a more fundamental source, and that's what we're trying to discover with this Mercury retrograde. and really with any sort of transit that happens in Scorpio, but with Mercury especially, it's our conscious analytical mind that's taking part in this dalliance, and really that's when we're most conscious of the potential for realization, the potential for change, and the actual action that we can implement in order to bring about these changes or to embody these realizations that we have as a result of these retrogrades. These retrogrades, for Mercury especially, are very much about going back over how we've been doing things a second time, and saying, okay, so we did it this way the first time around, now let's go back and see, why is it that you did it this way? How is it that you can improve upon what you did so that the next time you're in this situation, maybe a better, more positive outcome comes about? Or maybe it just allows us an opportunity to reflect again on the why behind what we did, because a lot of us operate almost unconsciously, where we just kind of take life moment by moment and deal with stuff as it arises, not really taking the time to reflect and be present with the intention behind those actions and what we're doing. So I'm going to set the lady aside now. Maybe she'll come back later, and we're going to pull another card. This video is already getting pretty long, but I'm going to edit out a lot of bits, so it'll be a little bit shorter than it is right now. We're at 13 minutes, folks. Probably not on your end, but on my end. And I'm probably going to edit that out because it's a waste of time. But, we're shuffling cards. Things are happening. Life is happening. Let's pull out the next card, yeah? What do you think it's going to be? What's the next card, guys? That is not how you shuffle. These cards are so big. It's kind of hard to manage them. This card does not want to go back in. So we're going to take this. You ready? Let's find out. What is it? 7 of Wands. Advantage point. Usually the typical message with this card is that, there's potential for adversity. There's obstacles and opposition facing us. But we're, again, going back to what we were talking about with the lady, we're in a very impactful and powerful position within our own lives where we're able to, yes, obviously there's obstacles and opposition and difficulty and challenges and maybe people we don't want around or situations that we don't want to be in, but those things are going to be there whether or not we want them to be. And returning our focus on how we respond to this, how we respond to this adversity, these situations, these people, these less than ideal experiences, that's under our control. Once you go beyond yourself, there's nothing really that you can do, because life is going to happen around you and happen to you. It's about you honing in on how you respond to it and how you make the choices with what resources you have available to you, or what paths seem to be laid in front of you. You can control your choices for the most part, as long as you're being present and conscious with yourself and really honing in on your intention behind your choices. Otherwise, I would say that you're operating from unconsciousness and you're not really making your own choices. You're just allowing impulse or emotion to make the choice for you. And maybe that's a discussion for another day. We're not going to get into that today. But really, going back to this, it's like, yes, maybe you are in a relationship and your boyfriend is cheating on you or seeing somebody else, or maybe he's putting more, he or she, I'm sorry, I shouldn't gender anything. Maybe your partner is cheating on you, and maybe even not romantically. Let's say that they're putting more time and effort into other things, into work, into their friends, into you name it, and they're not putting any effort into maintaining connection with you, into nurturing your connection and your relationship and kind of just leaving you hanging out in the dust. It's like, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, you can sit around and cry all day about it. You can work yourself into these terrible headspaces where you just picture the worst possible things that could be happening and feel the worst possible way that you can, or maybe you even reach out to this person and say terrible things. That's the unconscious path to take. With Mercury and Scorpio going retrograde right now, it's like what is our intent? What is our truest intention at its most fundamental, foundational core, at the deepest level? What is our intent behind what we're doing? And I'm sorry, it's getting dark again. Yeah, I think that's about as light as we're going to get it. Let me stop this real quick. Sorry, I was going to stop it and turn the light on, but the light is really bright and it just kind of messes everything up. So we're just going to let things get dark because this is the dark time of the year. Samhain is coming up. Things are in Scorpio. Scorpio is happening. So we're going to play around with that energy and we're going to get real dark and mysterious in here, okay? So, again, like I said, we can take that approach of reacting to our outside circumstances from an emotional place, from an unconscious place, from an impulsive place. Or we can sit and really reflect on how it is that we're feeling, why it is that we're feeling the way that we're feeling, why it is that we're thinking what we're thinking, why we seem to be having a certain response to whatever external stimuli is going on, and how it is that we can respond to it from a fully present, intentional space. And I feel like that's really driving the point home with this card, Seven of Wands. So we're going to put that aside. I think I'm going to draw one more card, and I think we're going to call it that. Call it good. I'm actually really glad that I started recording this video because just talking to you guys has already improved my mood so much, and I actually feel kind of giddy and I want to dance. So let's do more of this, yeah? Let's hang out more often. But tell this guy right here. Tell this kid. Interesting. So our next final card is the Hanged Man in reverse. Sorry, I'm just like, look at his junk! So, I don't know if you can really see in this card. I know it's kind of dark right now, but there's some mistletoe in this tree right here. It kind of called out to my attention because I took a beekeeping course over the weekend with a friend of mine, and one of the things that the instructor brought up was that in the particular area where I live, when the nectar starts flowing and the bees are starting to come out for the spring, the first indication of that period of abundance beginning is that all the bees start gathering and going crazy for the mistletoe that's in the trees out here. They start, going after the nectar that the mistletoe is putting out. And then they'll start to go for the mesquites, and then, the whole cycle goes on. But then also over here, we have the sickle and the wheat field, indicating the harvest. And considering the season that we are in right now, it's fall. Samhain is literally next weekend, I think, or this weekend. It's like everything comes in its own time. Everything has a time, The harvest, comes at a specific point in the year. Seeds start to grow at a specific point in the year, usually spring. Rest comes during the winter. Really what I'm getting down to is that perhaps it feels to us like a certain season, within the context of our earlier discussion, within the season of adversity or challenge or having to deal with things that we would rather have left undealt with. And that's a hard lesson that Saturn likes to drive home, and Saturn is a significator for 8th house, Scorpionic type and things. But with that, with dealing with those things that we would rather not face, with being forced to acknowledge things that might have otherwise been secret and seeing the truth, it's kind of like to say, okay, so now that you know that, what are you going to do with that information? How are you going to change your life? How are you going to move forward? Going back to the earlier example that I gave regarding the partner who's cheating, maybe you discover that your partner's cheating on you, or your partner discovers that you're cheating on them. I don't know how that's playing out. It's like the secret comes out, and yeah, it sucks, and it causes a lot of tension and conflict, and maybe there's a lot of arguing and fighting, but it's like, I know for me personally that it is infinitely better for the truth to be known than for a secret to be held. And I'm sure most, if not all of you, could agree to that. Keeping secrets sucks. And it sucks for the person that the information is being withheld from. So, allowing yourself to accept and trust in this process of, feelings and truths and whatever else surfacing, this water coming up from the depths to be dealt with and acknowledged, honoring that process because it is going to lead to a certain degree of self-discovery and realization that you would have not had otherwise. I should say that we have not had otherwise, because we're all going through this together, You and I, we're one. There's no separation here. Okay? So, just something to think about, I guess. And I think I'm going to be going. It's getting really dark. And this video is already really long. I thank you all for taking the time to watch this. And hopefully it gave you something to think about, some food for thought. And if you have any ideas to expand upon this subject, or any sort of maybe question that rose in your mind, or maybe an experience that you had, or just whatever thoughts come to mind, if you feel like sharing them, please do in the comments below. I would love to read your perspectives, your input, your whatever you have to bring to the table. I honor you, and I'm so grateful for you. And yeah, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying this season. I don't know if you're going to see me before Samhain, but if not, or either way, I'm going to say happy Samhain to those of you that celebrate. Happy Halloween to those of you who dabble. We'll say dabble. You're not celebrating Samhain, but you're supporting the witches. And yeah, I love each and every one of you. And take care of yourselves. Be present with yourselves. Start writing in your journal. Dance. Create something. Honor yourself in whatever way that manifests for you. And ask yourself the big why. In every moment when something arises, before responding or reacting to something, sit and think about why it's coming up. And if not why it's coming up, then why you're feeling a certain way with regards to it. Anyway, I'm going to stop here now because I'm just going to keep on talking.